So I
Yeah.
assume everyone can hear me well, right? So welcome. Okay. Right, so thank you. So welcome everyone to our webinar, okay, which is organized by Qualitative Research Connect, which is a global qualitative research community, legally based in Pennsylvania, USA. My name is Denchai Prabchandi. I will be moderating the session today. Today, we are very honored to have Dr. Christian Eugene Ekoto, who described himself as a qualitative research enthusiast. He is also our advisory board members from Qualitative Research Connect, who publish book chapters, articles, and also conference papers in various journals and outlets. The agenda today, we will begin with a short video clip first, followed by, the lecture and the webinar by Dr. Christian. And also in the end, we will handle some Q&A sessions. If you have any questions during his presentation, okay, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box and I will handle it later on. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's see the presentation first.
Qualitative research is such a powerful methodology to generate solutions to complex issues and to transform lives. As the world becomes more complex with wars, economic hardships, social challenges, crime, and political crises, we need qualitative research to solve problems and change lives. This is why Qualitative Research Connect, LLC, or QLRC, has been created to bring qualitative research experts, learners, and enthusiasts together worldwide. QLRC is a growing community of scholars and novice researchers from various countries and continents. It is located in Maryland, USA, but it is open to everyone in the world. Our vision is to be a globally leading qualitative research network. Our mission is to empower people through transformative qualitative research. QLRC values empowerment, respect, inclusion, quality, and service. Some of what we do includes qualitative research training and seminars, international conferences, research projects, scholarly publications, research partnerships, assessment and accreditation of the institutional qualitative research culture, and many more. We have many qualitative research experts from all over the world ready to mentor you. Please join this truly growing scholarly community. You can find more information at www.qlrconnect.com. This site provides you with various qualitative research resources. It also tells you how to become a QLRC member. Join QLRC, grow as a qualitative research scholar, and change lives.
That is the
www.
brief introduction about our organization, Qualitative Research Connect. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Dr. Christian Eugene Ekoto? Okay, he's going to talk to us about growing as a qualitative researcher. Dr. Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Deng Chai. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are tuning in. It's a real pleasure for me to be with you today and a privilege that I'm able to share from my experience how to grow as a qualitative researcher. And it's really a pleasure to work alongside great minds. We know Dr. Safari is the mentor, the leader, but he connects us so well every day and we learn from each other. So it is my hope that this presentation will help
Erika, Erika,
understand where you're at
Erika.
and help you also move in your move forward in your growth as a qualitative researcher. I really don't know how and why Dr. Safari
Erika,
chose me, but
earphone ko
I
nga
believe
record na.
he saw something that I could
White.
share. I would ask you to mute yourselves, please, as we proceed with
Tapi
the
di type C dia.
make sure you're muted,
Oh, sa akin yun.
please. Okay, it is done. So, growing as a qualitative researcher, what does that mean? How does that happen? Now, I won't pretend that I have all answers to all questions. I will just share my personal experience with a few examples. So, I will begin with how it all started. How did it all start? It started in three ways. Number one, with research courses. Number two, research conferences. And number three, research network. So what do I mean by those? I took courses from professors, the coursework. And when I was doing my doctoral degree, especially in the Philippines, I came across qualitative research through my professors. They were very passionate about qualitative research. It was something completely new from me, but I believe that the way it was taught sparked an interest in me. Although my dissertation was quantitative, I started feeling in me that love for qualitative research. And the professors, I won't name them here, they were very instrumental. So, as a professor, you have to understand that you can impact a life for qualitative research by the way it is introduced. They didn't use a conflictual perspective, like telling us qualitative is the best and quantitative is not good. They just introduced us to qualitative research in various ways through their teaching strategies and interactions and conversations. Now, this within the coursework was something was built in, that is peer mentorship. That is, we had a study group at the university. We called ourselves Okapi. And every single week for 1 or 2 hours, we sat together in a classroom and discussed academic matters. And one of those matters was qualitative research. And we went as far as discussing our dissertations and thesis work. And we were open to each other as student researchers. And as we shared ideas, this helped build that love for qualitative research because some of us were using qualitative approaches to their research, the thesis and dissertation. So not only the professors, but also my course mates, especially in the setting of a study group. Not just it was a formal study group. We had rules and timing and how we met. Everything was well organized and structured, and we used that platform to grow in different ways. But research was one of them, and qualitative research was one of them. So started with the classroom and then with the peer study group. And then some kind of personal interest built in me. I started getting interested, started reading throughout my coursework, started looking at qualitative articles and qualitative books and learning, watching videos about qualitative research. That's during my university years. That's how the flame sparked for me for qualitative research. And from there, I think everything else built. Then came an opportunity. There were research conferences specifically at our university. We had a yearly conference in our school, at the graduate school in IAS. And every year I was privileged to be, as a student, to be part of that conference as a student, as a facilitator, as a mentor, as a presenter. And these really helped me build some qualitative research skills over the years. And imagine spending, I think, about 4 years doing that every year, looking forward to it. I was part of the planning process, sometimes designing the brochure for the research, connecting, reading the abstracts, and helping others. Oh, I forgot to mention that when I was studying, I was a student, before starting even my dissertation, I offered my services to my course mates, those of them, those who were more advanced, and I offered my editorial services, and I helped them with their editing their dissertation and papers. And doing it also strengthened me in understanding research, and more specifically qualitative research. So conferences like the international conference at IS, yearly conferences, kept me updated on qualitative research. And then came this life-changing, out of this world organization called ACRA. ACRA is the Adventist Qualitative Research Association in the Philippines. And it amazed me how I saw how it started. And not many people really believed or understood what was going on. It was a first. And being there when it started, listening and hearing Dr. Safari and his colleagues talking about it, and seeing it materialized and becoming part of it as a member, as a presenter, as a mentor, that also helped me. And that sharpened a kind of my perspective on qualitative research. I became more and more focused on qualitative research. In other words, I loved it more. And Accra had conferences after conference, and building network, people coming from all over the world. It was beautiful in different locations. And I was privileged to present, and also the online conferences, not only in person like this one, helped me as a participant, as a presenter, as an organizer. All these built my qualitative research skills. And you see, it's not only courses, it's also conferences. Courses, I think the coursework gave me a theoretical understanding of qualitative research, but conferences added to the theory a practical aspect of it, but more specifically, the organizational part when it comes to organizing conferences and seminars. Then came the research network with Accra and now QLRC, for example, with these organizations being part of a qualitative research organization is key, because you are working with your peers and people who are like-minded. They have the same passion as you. They want to grow. And that networking is very critical. So coursework is good, conference is good, attending, presenting, but the network is an element that really solidifies the researcher, especially in qualitative research. So we have this combination of courses, conferences, and networking that kind of form the foundation, the basis for my qualitative research journey. Secondly, how it all solidified. Now, conferences, courses, and networking are all good, but they are good mainly for foundation. It's like building a house. So I reflected and I realized that three main things helped me solidify my qualitative research skills. Number one is training. Number two is practice. And number three is visioning. And I will explain what I mean by that. With Accra, with the organizations, I became a trainer. So I remember Dr. Safari calling me one day as a student, sending me to a university in the Philippines, down south, and telling me, you're going to lead out in the training for qualitative research. You're going to train the faculty there. And I said to myself, this man must be up to something. I said, I cannot do it. He said, you can. So I really prepared. And I went there, and trust me, it was an unforgettable experience. Beyond I had my colleagues going to the Philippines for the past 10 days, and I told them Filipinos are very hospitable. And beyond that great hospitality that I experienced, the qualitative research training, when you become the trainer, it brings you to a higher level. And that was very instrumental, that experience, having to lead and guide like-minded people at a professional level, engaging in learning about qualitative research with them was a beautiful thing. Of course, I had beautiful certificates from that, and having those certificates with me today, looking back, gives me a good feeling that I did something good, and the journey is worthwhile. So beyond being a trainer, I later became a teacher. After graduation, I was posted to a university. And in that university, one of the courses I had to teach was qualitative research. And the administration asked me to introduce qualitative research in the school. I think I was the first qualitative teacher professor in the history of that university. And that university was 100 years old. So teaching qualitative research in that environment and being the pioneer brought me to a higher level of understanding of qualitative research and responsibility. When you are the only one who has to lead a group of people, an institution, in integrating qualitative research in its curriculum, in its practices, it's quite challenging. Of course, you'll face resistance, fear, misunderstanding, and you have to navigate all those human emotions to be able to lead out. And doing that was really, really a big push for me in building my qualitative research skills. So from a trainer, I became a teacher, a professor of qualitative research, which tells you that I had to design the coursework. I had to design so many things. And of course, I became an advisor for student papers and thesis and dissertations. So that also built in me qualitative research skills. And I connected with the time when I was at the university myself and helping my friends, my classmates with their work. And the experience I gained at that time helped me in advising my students later on. So these three aspects, being a trainer, a teacher, and an advisor of qualitative research, really built me strongly in mastering the skills of qualitative research. Then there is research practice. Now, this is another powerful way of building a skill. I became a researcher. I remember my first research. It was a class paper, and I came up with an idea. I wanted to understand how students viewed a certain concept. And I was amazed because I was very systematic in applying the ideas that I learned in the classwork. I didn't do anything haphazardly. So I went step by step by step because I was training myself. And one of the things I remember was when I got to do the interview, it was the first time. It was amazing to hear and to have that feeling of a connection with another human being and getting into that person's mind and trying to extract and get some critical information that is related to the study. And I remember after analyzing all this, after coding and doing all the technical stuff, discovering things that I never thought were in there from these interviews. And I said, wow, you can't find this anywhere else. So doing research, actually, hands-on research, helps build qualitative research skills. And that's important. And then I became a publisher. And that also was another ball game because with publishing, uh, you get now to interact with really high quality feedback and people who know the stuff. And by working with them, you sharpen your skills. And now you're out there, you are exposed as a researcher. People are reading your work, you're getting feedback from them. And you can't take that publishing back. So you need to publish. And I saw how it came in stages. At first, I co-published with somebody, and then with one or two, and then I published by myself, and that's how I grew in understanding qualitative research. So publishing beyond just doing the research is very critical. And you publish not only theoretical, but also empirical work. It gives you a broader perspective in research, in qualitative research. Then the third thing that really solidified my qualitative research skills is vision. I call it visioning. Why? In that school where I was the teacher and the advisor for qualitative research, they ended up making me the vice president for academic administration. So I became an administrator. And directly under me was the research department. And that was a golden opportunity for me to influence the culture of the university in a different way, at a different level. It was not an easy journey because you have resistance. We'll talk about it a little later, but it was worth it. At that university, as the vice president for academic administration, overseeing the research department, I had that vision to make qualitative research really part of the university's DNA and actually part of the country's DNA, because in the country, qualitative research was not known just by a few. So I was able to lead out the research department in drafting the research manual for the school. And in that manual, we were able to integrate the qualitative component, which of course impacted the entire research agenda for the school. And then we had we set up a what do you call a professional development center where not only qualitative, but other topics were discussed with the faculty and many, many other things that were established under our leadership at that university. And today, even now on this platform, I know I see some of my students from that university who are now part of this organization. I look back and I see that university, the research department is entirely led by students under me who are now professors and who are qualitative research oriented. And that visioning gave me another perspective of qualitative research.
It's time. Yes, it's time.
So,
we are about to make history. Qualitative Research Connect, LLC, or QLRC, is about to hold its first ever international qualitative research. QLRC is a global organization, legally registered in Maryland, USA. You don't want to miss this biggest worldwide qualitative research event that's bringing together hundreds of qualitative research experts and mentors from around the globe. They're coming from everywhere: USA, Canada, Central and Latin America, Asia, Asia Pacific, Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean, all for the love of qualitative research.
Sorry about that. Maybe one. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Talking about the constraints, the setbacks, as I was saying earlier, you cannot grow without struggles. nobody can grow without struggling. And the first challenges are personal, your personal constraints. They may differ from one person to the other. For me, the first constraint was fear. I don't know about you, maybe you are Iron Man, Superwoman, but I had fear. I was wondering, am I able to pull this off? Am I able to do this? And the fear of the unknown, the fear of the new, and the fear of not being able to do it. And somehow also the fear of other people's looks, and especially when you start something that is not done. Everybody's doing quantitative and you're there doing qualitative, and you have all these eyes looking at you, students from the faculty, and the misunderstanding that comes with what you're doing. So that was a setback. It held me back sometimes, but I'm grateful because of people who pushed me, who encouraged me, guided me in keeping up the good work. Okay, please can you unmute yourselves? Can you mute? Oh, it's done. Mute yourselves, please. So the next constraint was access to resources, access to experts, access to like-minded people. It's good to love qualitative research. It's good to do qualitative research, but it's not ideal to do it alone. So imagine you are among students and you are the only one loving and doing qualitative research. That access to other people is critical. Or you are a faculty at a university or an administrator, and you are the only one having that vision, having that expertise. You don't have access to people, and sometimes you don't have access to resources, especially me, because I am originally a French speaking person, and you don't have many qualitative research resources in French as you have in English. That's another challenge. So all this accessibility can be a setback to a qualitative researcher, a novice especially. And then when you become an advisor, you face different types of challenges, because I don't know about you. For those of you who became advisors, did you go to any school to be trained to become an advisor? Or even to be trained and become a qualitative research professor. So sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you have to do it on your own, especially when you are a pioneer. And that can be a setback. But I'm here today to let you know, and my presence here today is to let you know that those constraints can be leveraged and become your strengths, actually. Now, there were also professional constraints in terms of time. For example, when I was an administrator, I wasn't only focusing on research, and for that matter, qualitative research, but I still had to do it. So your time becomes a constraint because of professional responsibilities and even personal responsibilities. So that time factor, for example, was a challenge for me and is a challenge still. And then the movements. What I mean by movements is someone like me, I don't stay in a country for long. I was born in Cameroon, studied in Ghana, back to Cameroon, went to Philippines to study, then went to Caribbeans to teach and work, then came to the United States. So those movements can kind of throw you off in your qualitative research journey. You can get a disconnect, especially when those movements mean different kinds of jobs. And you can get into a place where you are not so much into research and for that matter, qualitative research anymore. So those constraints, you have to manage them so that they don't completely disconnect you from the qualitative research network, from your qualitative research journey. So these professional constraints also play a critical role. And then you have various resistance. This is the elephant in the room. I won't talk much about it, but you have what I call individual resistance. That is, individuals in your institution or in your vicinity that either don't like qualitative research or don't like you. And they block everything that you do, or they look down on it. I remember participating in a defense. I was, let me put in quote, the qualitative research expert in the school. And we had this defense, and the students said they did qualitative research. And in their paper, in their thesis, they were talking about hypothesis. For those of you who understand what I mean, it's very funny. There was hypothesis, or all these quantitative words in it. So I asked the question about that. I said, how can you bring hypothesis in a qualitative research and this quantitative terminology? And the advisor responded in public. He kind of, I don't know how to say it kindly, but he made me feel ridiculous. He said, this is how qualitative research is done. And it made people look at me like somebody who doesn't know his job. At that point, I could have used all kinds of means, but I realized that it was a problem of ignorance. So what I decided to do, I decided not to fight because it was a cultural problem. And that was coming from the research director of the school. So I decided to work otherwise. That's when we come up with the policies and the training and all the mentoring to change the culture. So I had that resistance from people who didn't understand what I was doing. And then you have the institutional resistance, okay? And that also it can be very daunting. In my case, I didn't have much of it because, for example, when I was implementing the qualitative paradigm in the school, I was the main leader, I was the administrator, but I felt it when I was a professor. When you talk about qualitative research, you hear comments in meetings and derogatory comments in meetings, and you realize that this is not an easy thing to do. So whether individual or institutional, when you face resistance, the only way, when those setbacks kick in, the only way is to move forward and find intelligent ways of passing the message, of winning the people who resist into the qualitative research paradigm. You don't force them. And one of the things I noticed, I think I wrote a chapter about this, is that I noticed that it is difficult for people who've done quantitative for all their life to shift to qualitative just instantly. So you have students, faculty, and researchers doing qualitative research with a quantitative mindset. And that mindset shift is very critical in qualitative research. I think that's where the biggest resistance comes from, that understanding that qualitative research is a different paradigm. And you don't take things personally when it comes to that, when you face resistance. You try to analyze what I did and you move forward. So I had personal constraints, I had professional constraints, and I faced various resistance in my qualitative research journey. Instead of these being setbacks and stumbling blocks, they became stepping stones for me. They made me stronger, and they make me grow even stronger in qualitative research. Now, how about the future? How does this all strengthen? And this is where I conclude. where do I see myself? Because growth is not only about what happened or what I did, it's also about what I envision doing in the future. So growing as a qualitative research. So I was thinking, where do I see myself? And in my reflections, I came up with these three areas: personal publications, professional development, and professional networking. What do I mean by that? I want to become an author. I want to write at least one book on qualitative research by myself. I think that will maybe boost my growth. I have been writing articles and publishing, but it's not a book by itself. So I'm thinking, I'm hoping, I'm planning that I'm able to do that. The next thing is co-authorship of books, that is writing books with other qualitative researchers. And I really hope to do that. I don't know how, but I want to start with my own book first. And then do what Dr. Safari is doing, become an editor of a book. That is, supervise the publishing of one book with dozens of authors. That may not happen overnight, but I have it on my mind. And that drives me to a certain goal of growth, because growth is not static, it's dynamic. Sometimes we grow to a point and we stagnate. We become expert at that level. We don't go to a higher level. So I'm hoping to be able to grow beyond what I'm doing now. Then there is professional development. I want to get more training, but also to give more trainings to people on qualitative research. I would love to do that. I would love to do more research, especially collaborative research. I have a few ideas here and there, especially with students, with expert qualitative research, it's okay. But I would love to see me working with students and mentoring them in the process, not only of doing the research, but of publishing it. I would also love to do more presentations in qualitative research. These are things that I would like to see happening in the near future. And then professional networking. I want to attend more conferences, and we have one, the first of its kind for the QLRC virtual conference. And then I want to do consultation also. I've not done that. I want to do consultation and help people build their qualitative research skills more professionally. And then mentoring as well. I'm doing it already, but not so much. And then grant writing. That's a big beast. I am looking at, I said, wow, I hope I can pull that one day. So how do I plan to grow further? It's through personal publication, professional development, and professional networking. So this is how I grew as a qualitative researcher. It is possible that you have identified yourself in one or two areas here and there. It is possible that you might have not seen yourself in any of what I shared, but whatever it is, I hope that this little presentation has helped you in your journey. But what I want you to remember is that don't be overwhelmed. Rome was not built in one day. It's been years since I've been doing this, but I started somewhere in a classroom. And wherever you're at in your journey, always push forward to growth. And remember, progress is the key. You can be active without progressing. And progress comes with higher goals for yourself, higher standards for yourself. So may we all become fruitful, qualitative researchers. Thank you for your attention. And now I think we can entertain some questions. Thank you, Deng Chai. Up
Thank
to
you
you.
very much, Dr. Christian. That's very interesting and exciting journey of you as a researcher. At this time, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask Dr. Christian, or if you want to type the questions in the chat box, I will read the question for you. So I can go first. By listening to your journey, I feel like you are committed to qualitative research. I can feel that it helps you grow as, a person, as a researcher. So what, apart from the three, channels that you are planning to do for the next, are there anything else that you plan to do, to improve as a person, as a professional as well?
Okay, so thanks for the question, Deng Chai. That's an interesting question. Down the line, you know, I would love to be able to influence a country in terms of qualitative research because there's countries today that have no idea at all about qualitative research. It's something that they don't know. The same way I was able to bring it to the school, it was beautiful to see it blooming, and see how students embraced it in spite of all the adversity and the derogatory comments from some people who didn't understand. But with that experience, I want to bring it to a larger scale, like a country wide, maybe my own country, for example. I would love to do that.
All right, thank you. Now we have some questions from the audience. What models do you usually use in your research? I guess probably what qualitative research approaches do you usually use in your research?
Okay, I like case study. I like especially multiple case study. That's where I'm focusing on. And I took it because that was the research I talked to you, the first one. That's what I did. And I just loved it. I love the way it is done. And I'm grateful because that's a good question because I remember, I think it was Dr. Safari or Dr. Rosario, one of them. We're talking about and all these models, these designs. Which one do we do? And they said, and I read, you choose the ones that you're comfortable with, and you go because the question was, am I supposed to be an expert in all these? No, you can even choose only one design and run with it, but do it well. So I chose multiple case study, and I just love it. And it's beautiful because, but there's a danger to that too because I had my students in that school. That's the only model they were exposed to because that's the one I know, and that's the not good part of it because I wish I had more faculty with diverse design so they can choose from. But that was a beginning. Maybe one day they'll get more people. But that's what I use for myself.
Mhm. The next question is, what are emerging trends in qualitative research? Open access publishing model is also on the rise. What do you think about that platforms?
Okay. Um, Talking about emerging trends, there are many, but one that stands out to me is the role that AI is going to play in everything, especially with research. We have not yet been able to sit down on that AI thing. And I think many of us haven't realized how AI is changing everything. That is, I mean, everything, including qualitative. How do you, I mean, you go on Google
you type something and everything pops. How do you do research in a context like that? How do you validate? How do you not? But how do you make sure that you're doing a trustworthy work? How do you code when you have such presence of AI that makes everything easier? You see, today you type something and AI publishes a book for you, publish a video. I mean, it's just mind blowing. And I think that's the main thing to me that we have to look into as qualitative research and know how to harness it, how to hone it. Because if we don't, we might get lost in the middle of it all. Okay. Open access publishing model. No matter the model that we use, honestly, what I believe is it's just like you asking me about um, if I understand the question well, you're asking me about you have people who are researchers in institutions, they have that recognition. And you have those who are independent researchers, they don't have any institution backing them. And then you ask me which one is the best. What I answer is the best is the one that does the research according to the standards, that follows the principles. So if you're using the open access and that open access follows the standards, the ethical standards of qualitative research, why not? You see, the main thing is to follow the standards that are set by the qualitative research community. So we do things the right way.
All right. So the next two questions, I think I can combine them. What is the difference between case study and phenomenology study? And if you would suggest a qualitative research design for a new researcher, what would it be and why?
Okay. When you do a case, it's a different. When you do a case study, you don't have the exact same approach like you do phenomenology. Okay. One thing is when the result of the research is different when it comes to phenomenology because the purpose is different. Why do you do phenomenology in the first place? You don't collect data the same way. You see, you don't have the same purpose in doing the research. And when you get to the result, it's also different. For example, when you're done with a phenomenology, you will end up with telling us the nature of something, the essence of something. What does it mean to? But when you do case study, you just bring out what the respondent feel about the case or a situation that you present to them and extract that for them and bring meaning out of it, structure meaning. So it's qualitative research both, but with different purposes and different perspectives. Okay. What a research design do I suggest? You always choose the research design that aligns with the purpose of your study, with your research questions, with your research problem. Okay. And that's the key. You don't do it uh, the other way because sometimes, especially novice researchers, they want to have the design before having the research problem. The first thing you do is to establish the research problem. And I've been teaching this to students. It is not an easy thing to do. Trust me, it takes practice. I I remember many of my students because they are in a hurry. They think about graduation. They want to go faster. I tell them, I'd rather have you spend 4 months to write the problem statement than you writing a problem statement in 1 week and going into a design and realizing after 4 months that that doesn't match. They don't match. It's a way of me telling them, write the problem statement first. Everything stems from that. your design, your data collection, everything, data analysis, everything comes from the research problem. So the best way to select a design is to write the problem statement and make it clear. And let me add this little, usually I have my students coming to me, especially when they are already thinking about graduation and they have to write the thesis. I don't know, Deng Chai, if you have that experience. They come to you, they like you because you teach nicely, and they say, Professor, I have a research problem. And before I listen to them, the first question I ask is, how many books did you read? How many articles did you read? And they go like, no, 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 no. I don't need to read. I know that. I said, no, no, no. If you don't read, you don't have a research problem. And that's where you start reading before you find your research problem. And then you will find your research design. Okay.
Okay, we many. All right, so we have a few more questions. In your presentation, you mentioned a lack of resources, right, for qualitative research. How did you overcome the restraint of a lack of resources?
Yeah, that's a serious challenge sometimes, sort of. It depends on what role you're playing. You have lack of resources as a student. You have lack of resources as a professor, as an administrator, and as a researcher. So there's many types of resources that you can lack, but I'll take just one or two examples. As a student, I must confess I didn't have that problem because at IS, with the professors there, they made sure that we have access to everything that we need. In fact, one of the things I learned at the graduate school, I didn't know, Deng Chai. I didn't know. And it changed my life completely. One professor came and said, when you are researching on a topic, look for the experts in the field. Go online. Some of them have their contact information online and start communicating with them. I did it. It's amazing. And when you sit at your defense and you say, well, according to Professor so and so, we had a conversation, this is what he said. It's beautiful. So I had access to all that as a student. Now, the resources became scarce when I became a professor. And for that matter, I depended on online. I had to go online and search. I had to help the school get a kind of a database uh, based on the budget that we had. And sometimes I had to develop my own, and sometimes I had to invite my colleagues to be there at the school, at least virtually, to share their expertise, their experience with those of us on the ground. So there's various ways in doing that. Then as an administrator, one thing I did is I had to create a budget line for certain things, like the research department. I really had to push the administration to have a budget. When you have that budget, it is easier to build a research department or whatever you want to do. But the most important way of uh, beating the lack of resources is building qualitative researchers, that mentors, like your students, building it in them, and they will build it also around them. So that's how I was able to overcome that. I think we have a video, Deng Chai.
Yes, I'm sorry for the rest of the questions. We cannot really answer them all, but you may reach out to Dr. Christian Ekoto for more, questions. I think in the chat you have a lot of methodological questions there that can be very difficult to answer, at the moment. So it need consultation and so on. All right, now I would like to end with the video presentation of the conference, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the second video.
Yes. So we actually our organization will be organizing the first global qualitative research conference. It's a virtual conference which will be organized. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So you can start the video now. Yes.
No, you go ahead first, Deng Chai.
Okay, all right. So it will be on September 1st to September 3rd. The theme of the conference is rigor in qualitative research methodology. Right now, the abstract is open. It's open for the abstract until May 31st. Okay. If you're interested in the virtual conference to learn more about the conference, you can visit our website, conference.qlrcconnect.com, or you can go to Qualitative Research Connect, and then you can try the conference there, right? Right. So we have a video for you. Yes, you can play the video, Dr. Christian.
Okay, thank you, Deng Chai. Don't forget, for those of you who want the certificate, I think you have to take a screenshot of yourself and send it so we can acknowledge your presence. So this is the second video. You will see it on the website. So it introduces the conference.
It's time. Yes, it's time. We are about to make history. Qualitative Research Connect, LLC, or QLRC, is about to hold its first ever international qualitative research. QLRC is a global organization, legally registered in Maryland, USA. You don't want to miss this biggest worldwide qualitative research event that's bringing together hundreds of qualitative research experts and mentors from around the globe. They're coming from everywhere: USA, Canada, Central and Latin America, Asia, Asia Pacific, Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean. All for the love of qualitative research. Please mark your calendar. The Global Qualitative Research Conference 2025 will be held from September 1st to 3rd, 2025. It will be virtual to minimize the travel expenses. Whether you are a seasoned or novice qualitative researcher, research director, dean, university staff, president or vice president, university student or faculty, K-12 educator, policymaker, publisher, or just a qualitative research enthusiast, you are welcome. We have 2 keynote speakers and 4 plenary speakers from the USA, Brazil, Philippines, and the Caribbean. We will have hundreds of presentations from various countries. Such a great opportunity to learn more about qualitative research. We will learn, unlearn, relearn, dig deeper together. We will challenge one another and grow together. We will meet and network together. Please go to conference.qlrconnect.com for more details. Share the information with your friends and colleagues. All the details you need are there. Plan to submit your abstract by May 31st, 2025. You can register anytime until August 2025. See you there.
Okay,
Conference.
so I have already sent the website in the Zoom chat, right? Conference websites. You can check out the information there about the themes and also the areas that we will accept for the presentation. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, since Dr. Christian Ekoto mentioned that, becoming part of the community can help him grow as a researcher, I would like to invite you to join us in becoming a members of, Qualitative Research Connect. And you can stay update with us in the website. You can subscribe in the website, and also you can join the Facebook group Qualitative Research Connect to stay up to date with us. At this time, I would like to thank you, Dr. Christian Eugene Ekoto, for your excellent presentation, very informative and also very entertaining as well. Ladies and gentlemen, can you help me give a big round of applause to Dr. Christian? All right. Thank you very much for your contribution today. And I hope everyone can, join us in our future webinar. Right. Good good night. I would say good night from Thailand as well. It would be good morning in the US or somewhere, right? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, good day, wherever you are. And see you next month for another webinar. Bye. Thank you, Deng Chai. That was good.
Yeah, I'll see you in another meeting.
Yes.